How to get emissions-free oil. Hello and welcome to today's Daily Blitz. Now, in a blitz we did, I think it was a few months back, we found this very interesting story about a hydrogen-powered ship, which wasn't actually powered by hydrogen at all. It just transported vast amounts of hydrogen, and it was powered by diesel, which we found a very interesting dichotomy when it comes to renewable energy in general, when supposedly the cleanest form of energy possible is actually being carried across the ocean in a diesel-powered vessel. But we think we have something similar to that today with emissions-free oil, which sounds like a pipe dream. I mean, it sounds pretty great, right?
It is a pipe dream. That's, again, the moral of the story, that you've got to be skeptical about what you're reading, especially the headlines. This time the story is that the Norwegian oil company, which used to be known as Statoil and is now known as Equinor, is basically trying to produce its oil in an emissions-free way by 2050. Now, the key word there is produce the oil in an emissions-free way, not make the oil emissions-free.
Right, there is a catch there.
There is a bit of a catch. So what they're actually doing is spending, I can't remember how much, it's vast sums of money trying to connect their offshore oil installations with the onshore electricity grid, which in Norway is largely renewable energy based, which means that their production of oil on these offshore platforms would in fact be emissions neutral.
So do you think this is mostly a PR stunt for the company?
Yeah, they actually see it as the ability to become a low-cost producer of clean oil. The idea being that in the future, companies are going to be punished for their emissions, not necessarily for the amount of oil they produce, which then causes the emissions. So if you're an oil company that's producing oil in an emissions-free way, you will be punished less by government regulations such as carbon taxes, and therefore you'll become a low-cost producer. And Norway has a massive advantage there because it's got so much renewable energy that it can actually produce the oil in an emissions-free way.
It seems that as energy companies are the most clued up with energy regulation, and they're also the most clued up with really where the politics of energy are going. It makes sense that these companies are, they really have their ear to the ground when it comes to this, and they're a good forward indicator of what to expect in general. So the fact that they're already making themselves look very, very environmentally friendly while producing oil of all things, it does indicate that in future we're going to see an awful lot more restrictions in our own lives and for businesses as a whole when it comes to emissions in general, right?
Yeah, so this is going beyond just virtue signaling. They're doing this as a deliberate investment based on the regulations and the environment-based costs that will be imposed on them by governments in the future. And that, I think, is a new level of thinking where the investment is very much real. It's not just marketing.
You should remember that oil companies are not stupid. They are very vast. They have huge budgets to allocate. And though they may be hated by a large cohort of the public, this does not mean that they are not very shrewd when it comes to their efforts to make themselves look good and to ingratiate themselves with governments, just in order for them to do their work in general. So if you want to know what the future of energy will look like, you should probably take a look at what the largest energy companies are doing. But that sums up today's Daily Blitz. Thank you very much for watching, and be sure to tune in next time.